The Los Angeles Chargers just had an amazing victory on Monday Night Football, and now they get to travel to Kansas City to take on the desperate Chiefs, who had a tough loss on Sunday Night Football. My name's Tyler, here with my brother Ryan. We're going to break down this Week 15 AFC West matchup and go over the playoff implications as well, and provide our predictions at the very end of the video. So be sure to stay tuned, leave a comment, let us know who you think is going to win and why. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button to get notified when new videos come out. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Let's see if we can make that possible. And Ryan, let me quickly lay the foundation going into Week 15. 4 games left here, the playoff scenarios. With this win, the Chargers are now the 5th seed at 9-4. They hold the tiebreaker over the Buffalo Bills, who are the 6th seed right now. The Texans are the 7th seed, last team in at 8-5, and arguably you could say maybe one of the best teams in the league right now, especially with how good that defense is. Kansas City is 10th right now at 6-7, 3 games back from the Chargers and the Bills, 2 games back from the Texans, but they do not have the tiebreakers over any of them. Also, even too, as well, just for what it's worth, they don't have the tiebreaker over the Jags either. And that's important because if the Jags end up losing the division, they still hold the tiebreaker, and they're 9-4, so 3 games up on the Chiefs. I say all this because watching that Chiefs team there, and they're playing the best they could with how bad that offensive line is, even to losing Wanya Morris and Trent McDuffie very early on in the game. Wanya Morris after the first play of the game as well too. This team especially this offensive line is just really struggling overall, and
Yeah.
it's Mahomes doing the best he can. Mahomes doing the best he can with a second string offensive line and receivers who are struggling to hang on to the ball, if we're being completely honest. And so,
Yeah.
on the flip side, the Chargers, they are also battling a bunch of injuries as well too. Not Mahomes, Justin Herbert playing with one hand, with his left hand being broken, and they are still finding ways to win, gutting out a great victory here on Monday Night Football over the Philadelphia Eagles. This defense is really good, honestly. Too outside of really that 52-yard touchdown run by Saquon Barkley, really kind of kept this rushing game in uh, in in check, and got 4 turnovers off of Jalen Hurts as well, and just good defensive performance as a whole. So, Ryan, want to throw it over to you here, kind of laying down like what the situations are going into this game here, what both teams just faced. What are your thoughts on the Chargers team, the Chiefs team? What does each team need to do to come out victorious, especially to the Chiefs, who are as desperate as we've ever seen them?
Yeah. Well, and real quick on that 52-yard touchdown run, that was also on a fake tush push where they kind of pitched it out to Saquon Barkley and he got the edge and just ran past everybody and there
Fair,
was nobody
even
at the
fair.
second level. So it was kind of in a unique situation too. It was really hard for the Eagles to just line up and, have a normal, like conventional offense against this defense. And I think, I'll start off with the Chargers here. Even with Justin Herbert playing with one hand, they ran for 169 yards against what is a good Philadelphia defensive front. They were missing Jalen Carter, but they still had Jordan Davis. They still had some of these key pieces that they, went on a Super Bowl run with. And, they just were able to run the ball pretty consistently. And when you look at this Chiefs defense, they've been good, not great, but they've been, well, actually, I take that back. They've been ninth in total yards allowed, 12th in passing, 7th in rushing. They're 25th in sacks, and they're 27th in takeaways. So they've been fairly stingy in terms of yards, but they're not really taking the ball away, and they're not really, forcing a lot of negative plays. And so I think that that's going to be really interesting to see in this matchup. One, we'll see how Justin Herbert's hand progresses. But if, the Chargers can come in here, and especially with Trent McDuffie, probably going to miss this game with a hyperextended knee. We'll have to see how he progresses throughout the week. But I think that there's areas where the Chargers can take advantage of this Chiefs defense. And then offensively, this Chargers team, this defense is playing phenomenal. 4th in passing yards allowed. They are 14th in rushing yards allowed, but the Chiefs are 17th in offensive rushing yards. And Patrick Mahomes is a large reason for that. For a large portion of the season, he's been their leading rusher. He was their leading rusher again on Sunday Night Football. They have not had a productive run game all season. So you talk about that offensive line being banged up, the receivers, struggling to catch and hang on to the football. It's like they also don't have a run game to support Mahomes either in this
Yeah.
year, and that's been really tough on them. So it's a really fun matchup here. I think both teams are a little bit banged up in their own rights. Actually, I think neither team has either starting tackle that they started the season with. Rashawn Slater, Joe Alter out, Jawan Taylor and Josh Simmons are out. Wanya Morris is now out. Trey Pipkins got hurt again for the Chargers
I was
in
actually
this
going
game.
to bring that up.
It,
I couldn't tell. Did he come back in the game?
I don't think so. I can look at the injury statuses here really fast,
It's
but
always tough to tell with the offensive linemen.
yeah, but like all in all, it's been an absolute slaughterhouse for both these teams this year, and it's going to be interesting to see because we were talking about it before. If the Chargers do end up winning this game, that would basically eliminate the Chiefs from playoff contention.
Yeah, and that's why I went through with all the tiebreakers. And real quick too, it doesn't look like he did come back in. He needed help getting off the field.
Yeah,
But correct me if I'm wrong, though, in the comments. We're recording this right after the game when this comes out Tuesday morning. And so, but I think that's one of the things that is going to be interesting for this game. It's just how both offensive lines hold up. I really like Chris Jones in this front seven here with what Kansas City brings. We saw they were giving Houston Texans a bunch of fits overall in that game. But on the same side though, too, we saw what this Houston Texas front seven was able to do, and Patrick Mahomes was just constantly under pressure the entire time. He only got sacked 2 times, but it felt like there were guys in the backfield all over. They had 10. No, sorry, that was the Chiefs. They had 8 QB hits, but I feel like there was a bunch of pressures to go along with that. Uh, and I think that's the thing here as well too is if there's one side that is healthy, it has been this Los Angeles Chargers defense that is going to
yeah,
be the healthiest group of both sides. Even if Trent McDuffie's not able to go with that hyperextended knee, that's going to be a big loss for this Kansas City Chiefs secondary. And it's not like the Chargers receiving room; they have a like just a pure killer. But I think the collective whole with Ladd McConkey and his possession capabilities, Quentin Johnson's developing as well too. You got Rondé Gadsden,
Keenan
the
Allen.
Keenan Allen as well too. The Philadelphia Eagles still have one of the best defenses in the league personnel wise, and they can match up really well. And they were able to get after Justin Herbert with how banged up this offensive line is. I think that's what the Chiefs are going to have to do. But do they have the secondary to go up with it, or are they going to be able to get the ball out quickly out of Justin Herbert's hands? I think it's going to be a very interesting matchup as a whole. When I go look at this Kansas City Chiefs team, we're talking about the offensive line struggles that they're having, but Mahomes is doing his darndest to try and get the ball out, and he was able to do it well. But if you're these receivers, you got to catch the ball. You got to be able to catch. It's I think it's just kind of a microcosm of the season that the Chiefs have been having. Is just these like I think you said this great in the Texans video. Just like they normally would win on the margins, and now like they are losing everything on the margins, and just these
Yeah,
couple of drop passes here and there that are turning the tide here that causes interceptions, puts the opposing team in good field position, and I'm just curious if they're going to be able to ride the ship out and fix it if there's enough time. It definitely looked like on the sideline of last night's game when you're watching the Texans and the Chiefs. Like you go look at Travis Kelce after that second drop that led to the interception as well, where he just took that epic shot to the ribs. He's sitting there on the sideline, and it's like everybody knew like that this was the game. Like we had to win this game. Now this is
yeah,
almost seems insurmountable. They're going to keep on trying and everything, but I might change my pick here depending on who is available. Like if Trey Smith comes back, that's going to help out the interior a bunch. Even if Jawan Taylor comes back, that is going to help out a little bit at least. But I I think for me, I think this is going to be like a 13-10 type game, a very grinded out type game, and I think both teams are going to struggle to move the ball. But I think the X factor is going to be the Chargers' ability to run the ball a little bit more efficiently, and the Chargers' defense is going to be a little bit healthier. I think they go into Arrowhead and pull off the upset. I don't want to say upset, but it's the road victory because they had the better record here. But I think it's just that types of Chiefs season, and I also think too as well. I'm going to go with this because I think the thing that it might be a blessing in disguise for Kansas City, but I think we're spiraling very close to I think a Jeremiah Love, Patrick Mahomes backfield, and if they're picking 10th, 11th, or 12th. That's going to be kind of ripe in that range for Kansas City. And then that backfield might be even more epic because Pacheco and Hunt are not even um, like they're doing the best that they can, but there's going to be a difference when Jeremiah Love's in that backfield, and then that's going to be the scary thing I think for this Chiefs team is they're going to come back motivated in 2026 after missing the playoffs, super young still, or super fast as well too in that receiving room, and now you're going to have Jeremiah Love in that backfield with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid as the offensive coordinator. I'm now fixated on that world being a very real possibility now, and I think the Chiefs are going to make that happen by losing this game and being eliminated from the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with the Chargers. The big thing, I think, the Trent McDuffie injury is just kind of an exacerbation of what has happened uh, for this entire Chiefs season. And if he's not able to go, I do think that the Chargers are able to kind of pick apart this secondary because then there's a trickle down effect. And then you go look at a very well rounded room in that Chargers wide receiver room, and you didn't even mention Trey Harris, who's also had some moments for this team as well, the rookie.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting mix here because I do think that Steve Spagnuolo and this defense are going to try to light up Justin Herbert. Ultimately, I think Justin Herbert will probably seen that a few too many times and he'll be wise to it at this point. Whether the offensive line can still block it up, I think is going to be another question with all the injuries that they've had. But I agree. I think it's going to be a lower scoring. I think it's ultimately going to be a game like this Monday night game that the Chargers just played. I think it's going to be kind of sloppy, not a whole lot of passing. I think the Chargers defense are going to turn the ball over a couple times just because whether people want to admit it or not, Mahomes has throughout his career fairly consistently put the ball in harm's way, meaning like he takes a lot of risks with the football. Now, more often than not, he's making great plays with those risks, but he is still taking risks with the football. And I think last year and then as the season has gone on, we've started to see that a little bit more. I think the Chargers turn the ball over a couple times, get a few extra possessions here or there, and then ultimately win like a 23-17 type of game.
Yeah. So I'll push back a little bit. I think there's going to be a lot of passing from Kansas City because I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball. I know when
True.
they last played, this was in Brazil and it was week 1, but Mahomes was the leading rusher at 57 yards.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be able to, especially even now. That was with a healthy offensive line. Like when healthy, I like this offensive line by Kansas City. Actually, I know I've said this a lot, and I'm not just saying this because I know it's the Chiefs, but when healthy, I think this Chiefs team's a lot better than last year's Chiefs team that made the Super Bowl. But they are just battling offensive line injuries. They're battling some issues now on injury wise on the defensive side of the ball. But when they played in Brazil, Pacheco and Hunt only had 41 total rushing yards between them on 10 carries. And so I think the Chargers are going to be able to shut down this running game, especially even now with a backup running back. And so now they're going to be dependent on creating space, the receivers getting open and catching the ball, to be fair. But I think the Chargers are going to be able to send different type of blitz packages. I think they're going to be able to get pressure with 4, which is going to make it tougher, I think, for Mahomes to get the
Yeah.
ball. It's like you're talking about Mahomes putting the ball in harm's way just to defend Mahomes a little bit. If guys are rushing 4 but there's 7 dropping back, you kind of almost have to put it in harm's way because if they're
Yeah.
doing his own coverage or whatnot, like you can't take a sack all the time because you don't want to get hit. So you got to throw the ball out. So
Yeah.
it's I think it's adding extra context going into this game here because this Chargers defense absolutely could go and do that with the defensive front that they have, and then the really good. And I know they play a 3-4, but like you don't know which linebacker is going to be coming, drop everybody else out in the coverage, and I think it's going to make it very difficult for this Kansas City Chiefs team to move the ball. Now that being
Yeah.
said, though, too, you could go and get like one breakaway play, then could change things open though too. Because on the flip side, say the Chiefs come out hot, get up 14-0 in the first quarter. I don't know if the Chargers, with their offensive line issues, can come back and go win in a shootout. They need it to be a 16-13 type game.
Yeah. I'll push back on that aspect. If Justin Herbert is playing with, not one hand, like we'll see how his hand is doing this weekend. But we'll see. about that, because I do think this offensive line has gotten better over the last like 4 or 5
Yeah,
weeks.
that's fair.
Um, and the Eagles have a pretty good pass rush, and I didn't feel like, I guess they gave up 7 sacks. But part of that I felt like was people not necessarily uncovering and Herbert holding on to the ball a little longer
Yeah.
than he probably should. So
But a lot of times though too, just to that point, Eagles were able to get home with 3 or 4 guys most of
yeah,
the time. And so you're
yeah,
dropping back that. And everything I said, I guess, applying to the Chiefs and their offensive struggles, they could also be applied to the Chargers too. Like if Chris Jones and company, like Chris Jones in and of himself brings up a lot of attention here
yeah,
for the Chargers to have to go up against. So they could do the same thing, go and rush 4. Chris Jones could just go and have a whale of a game, and they might have to do that if McDuffie's not able to go. So you have more guys in coverage.
yeah,
So it there's a couple ways that this game could play out. If I'm the Chargers, I do not want this to be a typical Chargers Chiefs game that we all love seeing as fans, where it's 35-36 or something like
yeah,
that. I want this to be a grinded out defensive game, lots of errors made by the offense, and keep it as low as possible.
yeah. And I think that's what we're gonna get. So let's
Yep.
go ahead. Let's wrap up this video here. We are both taking the Chargers to come in here and beat the Kansas City Chiefs. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, leave a comment on who you think is going to come out ahead in this AFC West matchup. Will it be the Los Angeles Chargers? Will it be the Kansas City Chiefs? And other than that, we'll see you guys next time.